Hey guys, welcome back to Dasker Discusses. Well, it's getting towards the end of the year, and I thought, you know what? It's time for the 5 best and 5 worst films of 2020, in my opinion. So let's do this. Well, looking back at 2020, what can you say? I'm not going to get into it. We all know what it was like, and we hope for a better 2021, obviously. And in terms of films, to be honest, I actually only went to the cinemas maybe twice this year, and that's here in Australia. I don't know what it's like overseas, but let's talk about my 5 best and 5 worst. Now, the thing is, I tried to watch as much as I could this year in terms of like 2020 films, and maybe you might not agree with my list, but I've got them all here, so let's go through them, shall we? We'll start off with the 5th worst film. So, the 5th worst film for me for this year, it's got to be the Netflix film called The Wrong Missy with Lauren Lapkus, David Spade. It's basically a blind date that goes wrong. He's meant to meet up with this stunning girl, blah blah blah, overseas, like a blind, in Hawaii, I think, like a blind date, and it's the wrong girl. So it's basically The Wrong Missy is the name of the movie, and it's just full of really bad, crude, disgusting kind of jokes. It's not funny at all. Maybe laughed maybe once. I actually turned it off about 45 minutes in. So you could say to me, well, Dasker, you can't put that in your top 5 worst films if you didn't even watch the whole thing. I'm like, yeah, I can, because it was actually rubbish. So I'm putting that at number 5 is The Wrong Missy, the 5th worst film. Now, the 5th best film for me for the year, I'm going to put Sonic the Hedgehog with Jim Carrey, and obviously, the controversy around Sonic the Hedgehog and about the animation of the actual character they actually did fix up, but I felt that Jim Carrey really did play a good Dr. Robotnik, or Eggman, or whatever you want to call him, and it was a good little post-credits scene in there which sets us up for a sequel. Maybe it's because I'm a Sega fan, but I really enjoyed Sonic the Hedgehog, and it is the 5th best film for me on the list because it is entertaining, it's for the family, it was actually good, wholesome fun. Back in February, I think it came out, where before, well, it was just on the COVID kind of stuff started to happen. So yeah, different times. The 4th worst film for me, again, got to be, not again, I haven't mentioned it, Unhinged with Russell Crowe. Again, if you took the film Changing Lanes, the one with, what's his name, Samuel Jackson and Ben Affleck, and you put Russell Crowe in there, and you kind of like had elements of like just a mixture of that and Falling Down, etc. It could have been something special, but I just think it kind of just loses it halfway through the film. And Russell Crowe, he's a good actor. I love him in Gladiator and everything else he's done. But this was just not good for me, and I just think the ending is just totally ridiculous. So Unhinged is the 4th worst film for me. Now, the 4th best film for me, which I literally just saw a day or 2 days ago when it came out on Disney Plus, was Soul, the new Pixar film. I was going to do an actual review for it, but I thought, well, I'm going to be covering it in this anyway. But I'll tell you what, the film is actually just about a middle-class jazz teacher who wants to follow his passions, and then something major happens. Well, no spoilers in the trailer. He dies, and he gets taken to this other realm where he has to help a soul find itself so it can get onto Earth. It's a bit complicated, but put it this way, I think it's one of the best Pixar films ever made. I have to watch it again, obviously, to make that call, but it was an emotional ride. It's definitely not for, I'm not saying it's definitely not for kids, but I think younger children may have a few issues with understanding the deeper concepts. It's interesting how Pixar are going for these types of films like Inside Out, but Soul, I highly recommend it if you have Disney Plus. And, if you don't, then wait for Blu-ray and definitely watch it, because it's not just a kid's movie. The animation is actually amazing. It looks so clear and realistic, but the message behind it is quite emotional, and I definitely would recommend watching Soul as soon as you can. Definitely go watch it. 4th best film, Soul. Now, the 3rd worst film for me for this year is got to be Robert Downey Jr. in Dolittle. Again, I barely got through this, and it's just to see Robert Downey go from like Iron Man, even though I'm not a huge Marvel fan, but I am a Robert Downey fan. I like Iron Man. I'll change that. I'm not a big Avengers and Marvel fan, but I did enjoy Iron Man, and just to see this, and I think it's more so like I enjoy the original ones, the one with Eddie Murphy, and the older one from the 50s or 60s, whenever it was. That whole concept of Doolittle, this didn't hit the mark, and it's just a really forgettable film for me. Highly don't recommend for watching Doolittle. So third worst, Doolittle. Now, the third best film for me, I am going to change it around a bit and go with a documentary that I told all my students to watch called The Social Dilemma. It was on Netflix this year. Again, we're all in this world of social media and Facebook, Snapchat, Insta, TikTok, all that. We all do it, YouTube even, Right now I'm talking to you on a social media platform if you're watching this. I just think The Social Dilemma is a really important documentary for kids to watch. Now, in terms of ages, I think, 10 and above would suffice, but I told all my students to watch it and to understand what happens to data, privacy, etc. The Social Dilemma, number 3 in the best films. Even though it is a documentary, I'm going to put it there because it deserves it, and it's something that everyone should be watching. Anyone who uses any type of social media, because it's really important. So yeah, Social Dilemma, number 3 for the best film for the year. The second worst film for me for the year, and this could probably be a bit controversial for my viewers, but I'm going to have to put Bad Boys for Life. Now, again, I love all films. I love action films. I didn't love Bad Boys 1 and 2. I didn't mind them. Bad Boys 2 was probably a bit better than Bad Boys 1. But Bad Boys for Life, with all this hype that was behind it, and this whole kind of concept of, we can't wait to see what they do with it, I think it was a big letdown for me, and I just didn't really enjoy it. I think the first half of the film was okay, and I was like, okay, well, they're doing something different, with Will Smith's character, with what happens. There's two major things that happens to Will Smith's character, Mike. But again, just falls so flat. It turns into a majorly generic kind of like Latino American gangsters versus our protagonists. Again, not my kind of thing. It just really turned into some sort of like B-grade TV show. I've got friends that watch things, shows like that on TV. I'm not going to name which one because, I've never watched them. Queen of the South. Anyway, so I'm going to put Bad Boys for Life there because it was just disappointing for all the hype that was behind it. Putting it at number 2 for me as second worst film for the year. Second best film for the year. Wow, this one came out before all the COVID-19 stuff happened, before all this crazy stuff happened, before we had to lock down and quarantine, etc. I remember going to the movies to see this. The Gentleman. Yeah. Matthew McConaughey, Hugh Grant, a few other key, Colin Farrell. Just, if you liked Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch, that Guy Ritchie, directed by Guy Ritchie, if you like that kind of style, The Gentleman was a fresh take on that. And with all the twists and turns in the story and the plot, I thought it was a fantastic film. If you haven't seen it already and you're into that kind of like comedy / action / in terms of just put it this way, you like Lock, Stock and Snatch, you'll enjoy The Gentleman 100%. Now, the storyline's not complicated. Just actually listen to the dialogue and realize what's happening as opposed to being on your phone. That's what I found with a lot of people. They're like, I don't get what's going on. Well, I didn't get it. I'm like, well, maybe you're on your phone the whole time. So that's I think with this and my number 1, we'll talk about it in a sec. But yeah, The Gentleman, definitely worth a look. Came out back before all this craziness of 2020 happened, right at the start of the year. The Gentleman, number 2 for me. Now, my number 1 worst film for the year. This was very difficult to pick. I think I'm being a bit harsh, but this is my opinion. Again, I'm sure there's other really bad films out there. I didn't watch Fat Man and Fantasy Island and all those other movies that apparently are the worst films, but I'm going to put Bill and Ted... Yeah, I'm going to put Bill and Ted Face the Music as my number 1 worst film for the year. Why? Again, with the whole, the hype of it and everyone looking forward to watching it, etc. Just watching it and seeing, our two protagonists, Bill and Ted, Keanu Reeves and, what's his name again? Anyway, just just watching it and just like being disappointed so much halfway through the film and thinking maybe this is going to pick up, but trying to borrow things from the old films, trying to make new storylines happen that just fell really flat. I am putting Bill and Ted Face the Music as the worst film for the year. It was just one of those things where I was just really disappointed, and it's a shame because, you know, everything Keanu's touched these days is actually done really well, but Bill and Ted Face the Music, my number one worst film for the year. Disappointing. How about we just remember the old ones, go back and watch them, enjoy them. Don't even bother with this. I'm sorry. Now, here we go. We've been through all it. We've been, 10 minutes already. Let's talk about the number one film for me for 2020. In all the craziness and all the crazy stuff that happened, and we all know how crazy it's been. Yes, I've mentioned that, but this was another film that I got to go to the cinema to watch, and it was delayed here in Australia, and it came out in the middle of the year overseas. But yes, I'm talking about Christopher Nolan's Tenet. Now, controversy, yes. Had a few friends that didn't like it. Had a few friends that did like it. Had a few friends that wanted to like it but were confused by it. I think, having since bought the Blu-ray and watched the film again, having watched the film with subtitles, the subtitles make the film, well, pretty much you can understand what everyone's saying, because in parts of the film, they're obviously, there's muffled sounds, they're wearing masks, there's different languages, there's heavy accents, there's like whispering and like whispering in someone's ear where you don't understand what's going on. You actually can't hear it. Now, we talked about that in my review about the sound mix being way off, so I'm putting Tenet there, watching it with subtitles and being able to rewind certain bits and to like listen carefully to the dialogue does help majorly. Now you're probably thinking, Dasker, I don't want to sit there and have to do homework while I watch a film. I just want to watch it and enjoy it. You can do that. Just watch it on Blu-ray, put the subtitles on. Now the thing is, this movie was epic at the cinemas, and it would have been even more epic at IMAX. Look, is it because I'm a Nolan fan? No, I really think that Tenet deserves the number one spot because it was something different, fresh, in this crazy 2020 year to get something like that where, Nolan put in all his effort and it released it at the cinemas and it was like a big controversial thing to happen. And it's a shame that it hasn't gotten more cinema releases because of COVID, but definitely got to put it at number one for me because of that the time inversion, the mind warping, everything, the storyline, the editing, the soundtrack, everything in it. Once you watch it once or twice, you'll understand it a lot clearer, especially with subtitles. Number one, Tenet, Christopher Nolan's Tenet, for me, the best film for 2020. So, that leads me to summing all this up, guys. Look, I will be making a top 10 most anticipated films for 2021, and a lot of my 2020 films that I anticipated in last year's list are going to appear on it, like Coming to America again. Now, I just want to say thanks again to all my subscribers and all of you guys that are viewing out there. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. It's been quite a crazy 2020, but I intend to keep going with 2021 with different types of videos, guys. So I've used to do a whole green screen thing. Now I've got this mic, so I'm trying a few different things. But again, hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment about what you thought were your worst and best films for 2020. Did I get something wrong? Hey, put it in the comments. Leave a like if you liked the video. And of course, if you want to stay up to date with my videos, guys, please hit the subscribe button. Boom, hit the subscribe button. And, just want to say thanks for all your support. And it's been 2 years since I started the channel back in December 2018. And I look back at some of those videos and I'm like, it's quite cringe-worthy, but yeah, what do you do? I might have a video talking about the old reviews that I did and how bad they were, but whatever. Thanks for all that, and I'll see you guys on the next episode of Dasker Discusses. Boom.